Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy Huncho, back at you again with another video. And it would have been quite literally 1 day ago where I reported on a story where an Amazon delivery driver used his delivery van to do a drive-by shooting up north in Liverpool. And believe it or not, on Sunday night there was reports of a triple shooting about a 5-minute drive away from where that drive-by shooting took place. Around 11 PM on the 27th of December 2020, police were called to reports of shots fired in Thackery Gardens in Bootle. It's believed that 3 men who were stood on a balcony were having an argument with a man who was stood on the pavement. The man was by himself, and when they started to argue, is believed to have pulled out a gun and started to shoot at the 3. He then made off in a car, and fortunately there was no reports of any injuries. When the police arrived at the scene, they arrested the 3 men who had been shot at on suspicion of money laundering, and around £3,000 in cash was seized by officers at the scene. Jay Burns, who lives in the area, told the Liverpool Echo that he heard a loud bang followed by the screech of car tyres. He said, "I was about to go sleep with my heavily pregnant girlfriend and we both heard a loud bang and then loads of noise like cars screeching, and we both felt concerned. It was only when the police arrived we knew someone had been shot or shots had been fired." So a bit of a crazy story coming out of Liverpool. Again, thankfully no one was injured, but realistically having 3 people as a target and going on to miss all 3 is fairly lucky, to say the least. But I do find it a bit odd how when police showed up to the address, the 3 that were shot at didn't get any support from emergency workers. In fact, they went on to be arrested on money laundering charges. So there's definitely more to this story than what meets the eye, and I'm definitely going to keep you guys updated as this one develops. But moving on to our next story, and for this one we've got to head over to Failsworth, which is about 3 or 4 miles from Manchester city centre. At around 3:30 PM yesterday on the 28th of December 2020, police were called to Oldham Road by paramedics responding to a report of concern for welfare. When officers attended, unfortunately they would discover that 3 people were dead at the scene. The people who had died in this situation would be 2 men aged 39 and 41 and a 28-year-old woman. Their deaths are also currently being treated as unexplained and inquiries are ongoing. Detective Chief Inspector James Faulkner said, "My thoughts firstly are with the families of the 2 men and the woman who tragically lost their lives. We're offering support to them at this awful time. It's important that we're able to establish the circumstances around this tragedy and get the answers for their loved ones through a thorough and comprehensive investigation, and therefore we must keep an open mind at this very early stage until we have the result of forensic examinations in due course." The Greater Manchester Police has also referred itself to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, as the force had previous contact with the victims, but this would be normal practice according to a spokeswoman. But moving on to our next couple of stories, and these are coming out of London, with the first one actually dating back to November, but because of a recent appeal by police, the news has only come out over the past few days. On November the 7th at around 12:25 PM, a 52-year-old man had asked 2 males, who you can see here, to wear face masks whilst aboard a train. The 2 men took exception to this and proceeded to kick him as he was leaving the train at Barnes Station. After they kicked him, they pulled out a weapon which is believed to have been a knuckle duster and proceeded to attack him with that knuckle duster. The man had to be taken to hospital where he was treated for several broken ribs and a punctured lung, and up until now the police are yet to have caught the people involved, and that's why they've recently gone on to release CCTV stills of the 2 that they believe were the attackers in this incident. And so a pretty sad state of affairs, to be honest. This man was probably just going about his day and nicely asked the pair to put on their masks, because he is 50 years old, so he is getting on, and there is a pandemic going on right now, so he more than likely fell into the vulnerable category, or maybe someone in his family falls under that category, and for this he's now ended up having several broken ribs and a punctured lung, all because he asked if people could put a face mask on. Can we just let that sink in for a minute, that a man has been hospitalised because he asked some people to put a face mask on? Absolutely crazy. But moving on to our last story, and this one's coming out of Newham. Recently we've been looking at a few stories related to shootings and stabbings in Newham in regards to the Forest Gate area, and if you guys see my recent coverage then you'll know that Newham drill rapper YCB was shot and stabbed in regards to one of those incidents. And then literally 2 days later another shooting had took place on the same road is where YCB had been shot. Just a quick side note before we get into the most recent news though, the police still haven't came out yet to confirm if those two incidents were related. So the news that's came out today is pretty much breaking, to be honest, and has happened over the past couple of hours. At around 3:15 PM today, the 29th of December 2020, police were called to Stondon Walk, east of Newham, following reports of a man being assaulted. When they attended alongside London's ambulance service, they found a 28-year-old man suffering from stab injuries, and at that point an air ambulance had to be called out. Despite the best efforts of emergency services though, the man was pronounced dead at the scene. There's been no arrests as of yet, but the Metropolitan Police have said they will be increasing the police presence in the area in the coming hours and days whilst officers conduct inquiries. So I do want to take this time out just to send my condolences out to the family and friends of firstly the man who was murdered in Newham, but also the 3 people who have died in unexplained circumstances in Failsworth. And if I do get any updates in regards to any of these stories that I've reported on today, as always, I'll keep you guys updated on these ones. But let me know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Huncho, and I'm out.